Welcome back to Reddit Echoes, where stories that sound impossible are often just what happened yesterday. In today's video, we're diving into 4 brutal wake-up calls that shatter the idea that family is everything. From nearly losing a beloved dog, to being betrayed by your own parent, from exposing a hypocritical uncle at dinner, to dealing with a dairy-obsessed girlfriend who almost killed someone without realizing she was in the wrong. These stories are messy, controversial, packed with drama, but they also serve as harsh reminders about boundaries, respect, and the price we pay when we stay silent for too long. So buckle up. This is going to get uncomfortable in the best way. Story 1. I refused to babysit for my sister. After she nearly killed my pet, I never thought I'd be called cruel just for protecting my dog. I'm a 28-year-old woman and I live with Benny, a 5-year-old golden retriever who's sweet, smart, and honestly the only thing that makes life feel warm when I come home. He is my family. He's the one who sat next to me after every breakup, curled up with me on sleepless nights, and wagged his tail like crazy even when I was only gone for 10 minutes. He's not just a dog. He's the best friend I've ever had. Now my sister. She's the complete opposite. She's 32, 4 years older than me. After nearly 6 years of struggling with infertility, she finally had a baby. I was truly happy for her. Genuinely. When she called the baby a miracle, I didn't question it. The whole family treated the child like a literal gift from the heavens. And I wasn't jealous. I understood. Having a baby was a miracle for her, and the child deserved all the love in the world. But then, things started getting weird. That dog makes the baby uncomfortable. The first time I brought Benny over, he just sat quietly on his little mat. No barking, no jumping, nothing. The baby was crying, like all babies do. But my sister looked at me, or rather at Benny, and said, "I think he's making the baby anxious. Just put him outside. It's cold, but he'll be fine." That cold she casually mentioned. It was below freezing, snow falling, no shelter in the yard. I just stared at her in disbelief. "No," I replied flatly. "He didn't do anything wrong. I think we're going to head home." That was the first incident. I mentally labeled it strike 1. He's just a dog. Don't compare him to a person. Next visit, she didn't even try to hide her disdain. I mentioned that Benny was staying home this time, and she immediately responded, "Good. I don't want my kid growing up around animals like that. It's just a dog anyway." I bit my tongue so hard it hurt. I didn't want to start a fight. "Yes. Got it," I said. I thought I was being mature by not reacting. In reality, I was just ignoring red flags, until she finally crossed the line. My boy was locked up like a criminal. About a month later, I had to go on a 2-day work trip. Coincidentally, my sister texted me asking if she and the baby could stay at my place for a bit because her house was being fumigated. I thought, all right, let's help her out. She's got a newborn. It must be tough. I left her the keys, prepared a guest room for her and the baby, and reminded her that Benny was gentle. She just had to let him be in his usual cozy spot. I came home Sunday night. Benny didn't come greet me. I called out. No tail wagging, no scratching at the door. Silence. Panic kicked in. I ran through the house until I saw the laundry room door was shut tight. I opened it, and my heart dropped. There was Benny, shaking, covered in his own urine eyes, red paws scratched raw from clawing at the door. No food, no water, no bed. Nothing. 2 days. She locked up my dog for 2 days straight. Her reason: he kept looking at the baby and making him cry. I got annoyed, so I locked him in. I didn't speak. I screamed. I sobbed. I dragged her and the baby out of my house in the middle of the night, and before I slammed the door shut, I said if it weren't for your baby, I'd have called animal control. Get out of my house, for good. So now she wants me to babysit. A month later, she texted me. Like nothing had ever happened, I'm going back to work. Can you watch the baby on Tuesdays and Thursdays? I left her on red. 1 hour later, you're so selfish and petty. What kind of family doesn't help each other out? Then my mom called. She's really exhausted. Why can't you just help a little? He's your nephew after all. I just sat there in silence. I had forgiven. I had stayed quiet. I had swallowed my anger. And now they wanted me to act like none of it ever happened. I texted back, Mom, if she locked her baby in a dark room for 2 days with no water, would you call that no big deal? Then why should I treat her locking up my pet the same way I'm not helping? Not because I don't love this family, but because I love myself and the things I care about more than the fake forgiveness you both expect. My conclusion: there's no such thing as a perfect family. After that, I cut ties with my sister. No regrets. Benny is still alive, but he suffered from severe stress for months. Every time he hears a baby cry, he hides under the table. I had to take him to a pet behaviorist for weeks. As for me, I learned something important. Blood doesn't excuse boundaries, and love doesn't mean unconditional forgiveness. Thanks for listening to my story. What would you have done in my place? Would you forgive? Or is walking away the only choice when the people who are supposed to love you end up hurting you the most? Story 2. I inherited everything from my grandmother, and I called my father a monster. I don't think I'm a bitter person. I'm not the type to step on others to climb higher. But sometimes, when you grow up in a home filled with neglect, abandoned by your own parents, even the slightest sense of self-worth is treated like rebellion. I'm a 23-year-old guy, and this is the story of how I stole the entire inheritance that should have gone to my father. Ever since I was a child, I knew I was a burden in my family's eyes. A childhood nobody wanted to keep. My mother left when I was just a few months old. She simply didn't want to be a mom anymore. She dropped me off at my paternal grandparents' house, my father's parents, and disappeared. At the time, my dad was in the military stationed overseas. When he returned, he took me in, not out of love, but out of obligation. I barely remember my grandfather. He passed away not long after. That left me and my grandmother, the woman I will forever be indebted to. My father remarried when I was 5. He told me it was the day our family grows. I was excited. Finally, a mom's siblings. A real home. Yeah, I was stupid. A new family. A new hell. That first meeting with the new family wasn't too bad. But by the second time, my stepmom's kids older than me began ignoring me like I didn't exist. One even looked me straight in the eye and said, "Why'd your dad even bring you here?" We had only met twice. Less than a month later, we were all living together. And another month after that, came the wedding. I'll never forget that day I got shoved in the dressing room because I had to make room for real family. From that point on, everything spiraled downward. Bullying, isolation, and a father who didn't care. Those kids weren't just kids. They were expert bullies enabled silently by their mother. They mixed dirt into my food, hid my books, blamed me for breaking things so I'd be grounded. When I told my father, all he said was, "They lost their dad." Sometimes they act out. It's not on purpose. Not on purpose. Then were the bruises on my arms, accidents I used to cry at the edge of my bed, and no one came. No one except my grandmother. She drove all the way to our house, knocked on the door, and demanded to see me. Grandma, the only one who saw me. My grandmother was the light in that cold, miserable house. She once begged my dad, "You're hurting your own son. You can't love that woman so much that you forget your child." And he answered, "Stay out of it, Mom. He has a new mother now." A new mother. The same woman who once looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Do you know why your mom left you? Because she was smart?" My grandma was furious. She called CPS. But the result? A few warnings and some useless parenting classes. I was a burden until I became valuable. When I was 11, we visited Grandma again. One of the stepkids shoved me off the only empty chair in the room. My grandma shouted, "You little monsters! No one should leave children like you near anyone." My father stood up and pointed at her. "You don't get to talk about my kids like that." She looked him straight in the eye. "You're so busy protecting your wife's children, you forgot your own son is a human being too." That was the day she cut off all contact. The final reunion. I didn't see my grandmother again until I was 17 and had finally moved out. I found her at her old address. She hugged me like no time had passed. She told me, "Your mother left you. Your father betrayed you." But I never did. I lived with her, took care of her as she aged, paid bills, took her to the doctor, learned how to cook her favorite meals. When she passed suddenly like lightning striking, I thought I'd collapse. And then came a thick envelope, the official will. A will that drove the family insane. My grandmother's assets included the house, the one my father grew up in, cash, stocks, and investments, jewelry and family keepsakes from my grandfather, all of it. Every single thing was left to me. My father, $100, just enough to keep him from suing. His wife, not a cent. Her kids, not even mentioned. Right after the funeral, the calls started. You know that inheritance should have been split. She was brainwashed by you. Give the house back to your dad. It was his childhood. I stayed silent until my father showed up in person, self-righteous face and all. You should be ashamed. She insulted our entire family, and you took everything. I looked him in the eyes and said no. She finally did what was right. That family, your wife, her nasty kids, they're monsters. And you let them destroy me. His face turned purple, and I shut the door. Do I regret it? Absolutely. I regret not cutting ties sooner. I should have done it at 11 when no one picked me up after I fell. Now I live in the house that once belonged to my grandparents. Her photo hangs in the middle of the living room. Every time I sit down for breakfast, I remember the way she'd laugh when I burned eggs, or when she used to say, "You're the only gift your mother ever left this world." Thank you for listening. Some families, you just have to love from a distance. And sometimes an inheritance isn't about money. It's the quiet validation that you were right all along, to fight for yourself. Story 3. I outed my uncle at a family dinner, and I don't regret it. I know people are going to criticize me. I know some will say I went too far. But if you've ever been shamed just for being who you are, mocked by a two-faced hypocrite, then you'll understand why sometimes playing nice is no longer an option. I'm a 25-year-old gay man, and this is the story of how I exposed my 45-year-old uncle, Mr. Real Men Don't Cry, right in the middle of family dinner. I came out at 20, and my life changed. I'm not the type who waves rainbow flags down the street or shouts from rooftops that I'm gay. I'm just me. I came out to my family when I was 20, after years of hiding, lying, and choking on anxiety. Luckily, most of my family was supportive. My mom cried, but only because she was happy I could finally live honestly. A few cousins gave me awkward fist bumps. A couple were quiet, but no one hated me. No one. Except Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave, master of subtle insults. He never cursed me out, never used slurs, never yelled. Nope. Uncle Dave preferred a more refined cruelty, the slow dripping kind like acid on skin. A real man doesn't walk like that. Why do you people always have to flaunt it? Back in my day, a guy like that would have gotten beat up in the street. At first, I laughed it off. He's just old school, I told myself. But over time, it became clear he wasn't just outdated. He was toxic. Every time I dated someone, he'd make these snide jokes. So is the new guy at least employed, or another limp-wristed freeloader? I once overheard him telling someone, "He's my nephew. I love him, but he's broken." The family dinner that broke the mask. Last week, we held a family dinner to celebrate my grandmother's birthday. Everyone was there. The vibe was good, until the wine kicked in. Uncle Dave, with a red wine glass and his favorite smug smirk, started ranting. Those freaks at the pride parades are disgusting. A real man should have dignity." The room went silent. I swallowed my rage. Then he turned to me, looked straight into my eyes, smiled that condescending smile and said, "And you, why not try living normal for once? Stop wearing your label like a badge and forcing it on everyone else." I snapped and dropped a bomb. I'd had enough. I sat up straight, locked eyes with him and said, "Sure. But let me ask you something. Does living normal mean pretending to be a macho straight man by day and sneaking onto Grindr every weekend looking for discreet hookups like you, Uncle Dave?" The entire table froze. 1 second, 2 seconds. Clang. His wine glass hit the plate. His face turned pale. Someone whispered, "Wait, Grindr isn't that a gay hookup app?" And then his wife, my aunt, covered her mouth with her napkin face, white as a sheet. "What? What did he say? Is that true?" And I wasn't done yet. I looked at my uncle, this man who always preached traditional values, who told me not to be too much, who once scolded me for painting my nails, and I said, "I know you're on that app. I'm not guessing. I've seen your profile. I remember the eagle tattoo across your back in that lovely shirtless pic. Oh, and I'm not the only one who saw it. A friend of mine matched with Steve, the guy with the tattoo. But tattoos don't lie, Dave. The fallout, messages, guilt, and a whole lot of drama." After that dinner, the family basically exploded. My aunt left mid-meal, said she was filing for separation. My mom texted me, "Did you really need to humiliate him like that? He's still your uncle." And some relatives slid into my DMs, "You embarrassed him in front of everyone. You're no better than him. Outing someone is cruel." But then there were others, cousins-in-laws, who called me crying, saying thank you. He's belittled all of us for years. Someone finally stood up to him. Do I regret it? I've asked myself that question every day this week. Was I too harsh? I get it, outing. Someone is serious. In a perfect world, everyone gets to come out on their own terms. But this isn't a perfect world. Uncle Dave shoved me into the closet with shame and mockery while he strutted around shirtless online and preached fake masculinity in public. I didn't out him to destroy him. I outed him because he doesn't get to weaponize a lie that he himself doesn't believe in. The aftermath, and the lesson I learned. The family's split now. Some call me a hero. Some call me a traitor. Me, I just feel free. Uncle Dave vanished from social media. Rumor is he's working on himself somewhere far away. Good. Maybe next time he calls someone disgusting, he'll remember that eagle tattoo on his back, the one he used to fish for likes on an app he pretended didn't exist. Thanks for listening. Do you think I went too far? Or maybe, just maybe, sometimes hypocrisy deserves to be dragged into the light, even if it means someone's pride gets left behind. Story 4. Milk could literally kill me, and she still tried to sneak it into my house. Now I check her bag. Every time she visits, has anyone ever almost died because of milk? If not good for you, you're not me. I have a severe dairy allergy, so bad that even inhaling dairy particles when someone cooks near me could trigger anaphylaxis. Ambulance. 2 EpiPens in the thigh. Not fun. This isn't your I get a little gassy from ice cream kind of allergy. This is milk. Potential death. And if you think that makes everyone around me hyper cautious, you clearly haven't met my brother-in-law's girlfriend. Milk. The childlike killer in disguise. My fiancé and I have lived together for 2 years now, and we have one non-negotiable rule in our house. Never, and I mean never, bring dairy products into this home. His family gets it. His parents double-check ingredient labels better than I do when they host dinner. My brother-in-law, fantastic. Supportive. Protective of me like a real sibling. That is, until he started dating her. The first visit. Oh, I thought it was just a sensitivity. It started over a year ago. First time she came to our house, we sat her down and explained it clearly. I have a severe dairy allergy. Even the smallest trace can trigger anaphylactic shock. Please do not bring any dairy products here. She smiled, nodded, seemed understanding. Even said, "Don't worry, I'm vegetarian too. I'm super careful." 2 days later, I came home to a pot of cheesy sauce still steaming on the stove. And in the trash, ice cream wrappers, cheesy bread, yogurt containers. Before I could even react, my throat started itching. 15 minutes later, I was in the ER. I didn't think it was that serious. She came to the hospital crying, apologizing nonstop. I thought it was just like mild, like you just didn't like milk or something. She had cooked dairy on my stove where I prepped my food and triggered a full-blown reaction. I had to be pumped with epinephrine strapped to an oxygen mask and monitored for 2 days due to complications. I was furious, but I let it go. I chalked it up to ignorance, not malice. My fiancé wanted to keep the peace. My brother-in-law begged for understanding, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Turns out people who ignore boundaries don't really learn from second chances. Round 2, testing my limits, literally. 9 months later, she was coming over again. This time my fiancé and I held a serious video call beforehand. We were crystal clear. If you bring any dairy products into this house, even something as small as a butter cookie, you are endangering my life. She nodded, smiled again. I did some research this time. I totally get it now. Don't worry. 3 days into her stay, I was taking out the trash in the guest room, and I saw them. Milk chocolate bar wrappers, an empty milkshake cup, cheesy snack bags, all hidden in the trash bag beside the bed where she slept. She didn't just sneak dairy in. She ate it inside my house, in the air I breathe, and tried to hide the evidence like I'd never find out. I snapped, and drama exploded. I waited for them to come home. I placed the trash bag on the dinner table. Didn't say a word. She turned pale. My brother-in-law looked confused. I asked, "How many ER visits do I have to survive before you finally stop?" She cried. But this time, her tears didn't save her. Even my brother-in-law, the kindest man alive, snapped. He searched her bag and found more caramel candies with dairy, a small container of cheese hidden under her clothes. He threw everything out the front door. She screamed, called me controlling, said I was a drama queen and paranoid about milk. I smiled. Ice cold. You're right. I'm not scared of milk. I'm scared of dying. Big difference. She's been banned. Since that day after that incident, my brother-in-law stayed. She left. They're still dating somehow. I honestly don't get it, but I laid down a boundary. She is never allowed in this house again. Not because I hate her, but because I love being alive more than I care about her feelings. But then she tried to come back. Most recently, when my brother-in-law planned a visit, he said, "She really wants to come with me. I think if you gave her another shot, this time will be different." My fiancé and I sat down and agreed. Fine, she can come, but we will check her bags at the door. Every single time. No negotiations. And suddenly, I'm the criminal. The second she heard that, she freaked out like I'd asked her to walk through airport security. "You're treating me like a drug dealer. I'm not a criminal." "No, you sent me to the ER. Twice. You lied. Snuck around. Showed zero remorse. Why should I ever trust you again?" Am I being too harsh? I ask myself that too. But the truth is, this wasn't forgetfulness. This was disrespect. She doesn't value other people's lives. She's not mad because I don't trust her. She's mad because I caught her. And any adult who's warned that something could kill someone and still chooses to mess around with it doesn't deserve soft treatment. Here's my final message. If someone in your life has a severe allergy, believe them. Don't put kindness over safety. Don't let being nice get you or someone you love hospitalized. Or worse, killed. I've learned that lesson. That's why I check the damn bag. Thanks for listening to my story. Do you think I'm being too harsh? Or are there some boundaries that should never be crossed even by your brother-in-law's girlfriend? Family, love, forgiveness, they sound beautiful, but they should never be an excuse for someone to cross your boundaries and hurt you. From a sister who cruelly mistreated a dog to a father who chose his new family over his own child, a hypocritical uncle exposed at the dinner table, and a dairy-loving girlfriend who valued cheese over human life, these stories remind us of one thing. Respect, not blood, is the true foundation of any relationship. Thanks for sticking with us until the end of the video. If you've ever been through something similar, don't be afraid to share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a tale that's so real. It almost feels fake. This is Reddit Echoes, where the loudest truths from Reddit are told in a way you've never heard before.